Hey everybody, and welcome to Leia's Lair. Here's our review of the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Part 4. We hope you enjoy. Now, just to begin, Leia is not going to be with us today. She's actually out of town, so it's just me, Han, doing the review. But I do have a special guest, which you can see right here, is our cat. Okay, so episode discussion. So let's get right into this. The episode opens up with Obi-Wan in the Bacta tank on Jabim. And it's cool because the way that they did this scene was that they mirrored it with Darth Vader also in the Bacta tank. You also get flashbacks to their battle, and it really just shows that inner conflict of Obi-Wan. So I actually really enjoyed how the episode opened up with this. I thought it gave good context to how Obi-Wan is feeling in this moment with what's just happened, right? Like he's just seen Vader, he's fought him, he's gone through all this stuff, and now this is what he's experiencing, right? So he's beat up on the outside, but also he's beat up on the inside. So I think they did a good job of displaying that in this opening scene of this episode, so I really enjoyed that. We do get confirmation that Leia is with Reva on Fortress Inquisitorius. So for anyone who's played the Fallen Order video game, you know how exciting this is to see it in a bit more detail. I know we see a little bit of it in previous episodes, like last episode, but not to this extent. This is we get a really good glimpse into this, and I was actually really excited to see that a lot of this episode takes place there too, right? That Leia is with Reva. She's trying to get information about, who's running these tunnels and all that stuff, to help capture more Jedi. However, we got Obi-Wan to the rescue. So he's hatching a plan with Tala and Roken, who's Ice Cube's son, or who's played by Ice Cube's son. But yeah, he really fit into this episode really well. I think he's an incredible actor, and he just displays a lot of emotion, and it has a lot of weight. Like when he's talking about how he married a Jedi, and having her taken away by Inquisitors. I was really pleasantly surprised to see his character come into this episode, and kind of what he brought to that. So they have this plan to use Tala as an officer and go in there and help Obi-Wan. And this part for me was so cool because we see Obi-Wan swimming in the water. He's using his aquatic breather, and it just gave me throwback to Episode 1, Phantom Menace. Yeah, I don't know. It just was really cool for me to see this be brought back in. I was a huge fan of it as a kid when we watched The Phantom Menace, and to see it back in this episode is really cool. So I have no complaints about that. That was actually surprisingly one of my favorite parts of the episode, just because it was so small, but it was just so cool to see that. I don't know. And so he enters the fortress and he's sneaking around. He's basically doing what he's doing in A New Hope, right? Which I thought was really cool. This whole episode is just tons of mirroring of other Star Wars things and a lot of shout outs, and that's definitely not something to complain about. And he keeps going through this fortress, and what I thought was wild was that we actually get to see this tomb, which seems to just be a bunch of slain Jedi as trophies. Now, when this first came, I was like, what's going to be in there? And then they started showing all these different Jedi and all that, and they're it kind of reminded me of like Jurassic Park, like the mosquito inside the yeah. But even in this picture right here, we can see Coleman, or what I would like to think is Coleman Kaj. We don't know for sure if that's him. We do know he survived Order 66, so this could have been after that. So they could have captured him, and now he's on display. But then we also see Tara Sinube, which was super sad. I loved his character in the Clone Wars series. Just any episode that he was in, he was like a grandpa figure, and he was just he's a really cool character. So to see that was actually super sad. We also get a lot of cool action stuff, like Obi-Wan using the Force, his lightsaber, just tearing things up inside this fortress. And you can tell he's working back into things, right? He's getting his groove back in that sense, right? Just like he's surprising himself with the lightsaber, deflecting and attacking the droids and the stormtroopers and everything. He just you can tell he's even like surprised with himself, like, okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this. And even when the glass starts to break a little bit, and he's holding it with the Force, you can tell that just how much strength he is getting back by being able to hold that, right? So he's really pushing himself to get back into things, and I think it's showing that progression, from the last episode where he was getting his his hide handed to him by Vader, to now he's working back into things. So hopefully when they meet again, he's not going to be like he was in that last episode. He's going to give him more run for his money, right? Very comical. They try to leave, just dressed up. And of course, they get caught. But yeah, they narrowly escape with help on some T-47 airspeeders, which I thought was also really cool. Snow speeders were probably one of my favorite spacecrafts when I was growing up watching Star Wars. And seeing that in episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, playing it on Shadows of the Empire, it was so cool. So I really liked seeing that in this episode. Let's talk about Darth Vader for a second, because he does have an appearance in this episode, a little bit in the beginning, but at the end he comes in, he's not happy with Reva, he's force choking her, the other Inquisitors are egging him on, and then she gets a second chance due to being like, oh, I have a tracking device, and he's like, okay, I've underestimated you. And for me, this is just a little bit off. Last episode we go from Darth Vader, snapping a random person's neck, to this episode being like, oh, I've underestimated you. In Darth Vader fashion, I feel like he probably would have just taken the tracking thing and just killed her and be like, yeah. But okay, I'm gonna go with this, and there's got to be more to this plot, and that's why she's still around. However, I do think that Darth Vader probably would have killed her if it wasn't for that tracking device, and even then, I still think that maybe he would have killed her anyways. And then that end scene showed a lot of emotion. With Leia and Obi-Wan on the ship there, they're holding hands. You can tell he's just really looking out for her, and she feels safe that he's there. These last two things is gonna sound like I'm complaining a lot. I also find it odd that Leia's when she sends the message in A New Hope, that it doesn't really add up with how much time they're spending together in this series. It seems like she would have had more of a relationship with him to be like, hey, instead of being like, you served my father in the Clone Wars, she'd be like, hey, remember you saved me and we held hands on that ship. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Vader catching up to Obi-Wan and seeing how that plays out the second time around. Let's get right into the review. So it's just going to be my review today, obviously, and I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. So it was a shorter episode, actually probably the shortest one that we've gotten so far, but it was filled with lots of action, plot development. I really love seeing Fortress Inquisitorius, all the different throwbacks and kind of mirroring of different things. We got the breathing apparatus, but then we also got that Tomb of Jedi, which was wild to see. And we also got Obi using his lightsaber in the Force again. And so when you have an episode that includes that, it's automatically a great episode, right? So I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. And there you have it. Thanks for watching, everyone. What did you think of this episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Let us know down below in the comment section. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more great videos to come. We hope to see you all again in Leia's Lair.
You are not a Jedi yet.